like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy. No gas, no fumes, just a hum in the air. A helmet on crooked, like he doesn't care. With a backpack full of snacks and a gleam in his eye. He's the hero we need, the electric scooter guy.
Gear up, Scooter fam. Today, gonna go over do a 400-mile review of the Nami Klima that I've had. I think I got it back in October, and so a good, maybe 8-9 months, maybe something like that, or maybe 7 to 8 months, whatever it is. Around 8 months ago, I got the Nami Klima, and had a couple of issues early on that kind of bugged me. Knowing what I know now, considering Fluid Free Ride was going out of business, and I got a pretty good deal on the scooter. I'm not really bitter about it. In general, I feel like I lost my warranty. I don't have future support, which I mentioned, but the scooter itself is awesome. I got no complaints. Like I said, the wrong brakes were on it. I did end up getting those brakes replaced, and then since then I've got the new correct brakes because I ruined the other ones. But anyway, I've just eclipsed 400 miles. I was considering waiting till 500, but I feel like 400 is a pretty good amount to drive, to ride on. So I've gotten some more miles on it, and I'm up to 400. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the Nami Klima, just from an overview kind of standpoint. And I also got a couple more scooters that I'm going to compare it to. Not like do a comparison, complete comparison, but just kind of go over the basics and look at each one really quickly. Once I do that, I'm going to have some riding footage on the trip that I got my 400th mile on the Nami Klima. So pretty cool. And let's go over the Klima. So here is the picture of the Klima on Wired Rides. Right now it's selling for about $2,100. And I do have a discount code that'll get you a little bit off of that. So if you're interested in the Nami Klima, I'll put the link down below to Wired Rides. I have experience with Wired Rides, even though I didn't buy my Klima from them. I have gotten some things such as my PMT tires from them, and had a good experience with them so far. They're pretty nice, pretty good to communicate. And then I wish they would stock more Nami parts, but hey, I'll take what I can get. In any case, like I said, it's $2,100 there. I would price the Klima right at $2,000 to $2,100. I was willing to pay that when it was at Fluid Free Ride. Right before I bought it, though, it dropped to $1,899, so I got it for $1,900. Of course, it came with some messed up brakes, and I lost my warranty, so there's a give and take. I got a good deal, but I lost support, and I did get the brakes replaced. So even though it was very slow going, a couple of weeks it took me to get them fixed. Considering I had never rode the scooter before, that was the most frustrating part. You buy a new $2,000 scooter and then you can't ride it. But in any case, all that's done and good, and the scooter's been magnificent. I've done 400 miles on it. I've changed out the stock tires, the CST tires that it came with, and put on PMT tires, and that's been a wonderful experience. I've added mirrors. What else have I done to it? I put a bag on it, obviously a little scooter bag. I raised up the handlebars with a two separate little handlebar extenders, one on each side. That's where my mirrors go, and that's also where I put the NFC reader on the right, and then I put the other the mode button where you flip through the modes or to turn the power up, down, so forth, and it's how you interact with the display. So that's it's also how you enact cruise control, and that's one of the reasons that I put it over there, because currently all that comes on one side. So you have your throttle and you have your mode on that side. Well, you can't do that and keep the turn signals that are also on the same side. So you can't have it both ways, or unless you get like something like these little handlebar extenders to do that. And I'll put those in the affiliate links to those at Amazon in the comments, in case you guys are interested in them. But I like them because I was considering getting a large bar, but I actually got these back with my Journey Max, because I put mirrors on it, and I had some things going on with that scooter, the one that I rode the most, and so I was experimenting with some different layouts and stuff like that to do with it, and I ended up getting getting these for but I didn't use them. End up using them for the Klima. So, but the reason why is because right where they sat on the Klima would kind of get in the way of the display, and it would a little bit too with the Klima. So I got the separate ones, and then I got another one that goes all the way across. So I got them to point up and then connect, and I still could do that if I need to, if I get to that point. Right now they connect at the top, and then you got the side ones that this way. So that was the plan, was to go up and over, and I could use like any of that to do to put and customize how I wanted to. But in any case, I ended up just doing it a different way on the Journey Max, and I used these for my Klima because it was a perfect solution to you having one on the other. Now, first, it didn't bother me. I don't really use I don't really use cruise control really at all. So it didn't bother me that I couldn't enact cruise control while I was riding, because I didn't use it anyway. So I do like the fact that you have to hit two buttons, though, as opposed to just it kicking in once you're at a certain speed limit for such a long period of time. Such like the Apollos, I turn it completely off, and so that's the one thing I didn't like about the Journey Max is that you can't turn it off. You can't turn off kick to start, which I don't mind on the Journey Max. It's a small scooter, and kick to start, I mean, you got to kind of get going anyway just to keep your balance. So that didn't bother me so much. On the Klima, it's a heavier scooter than the Journey Max or even the Apollo City or Go. So I have kick to start enabled on all my scooters except the Klima. I have it deactivated. So I don't mind it. I think it's a nice safety feature, and if it wasn't such a big deal trying to get the Klima going to a decent speed, I know you can turn that down, but honestly, I just don't like that to worry about. The scooter's pretty tough to push. When I first got it, I tried to keep that on as well, but just trying to get it going, I had to kick 2 or 3 times to get up to speed to be able to go. So I just turned it off completely on the Klima, and I like that. I like that fine for that scooter. The rest of them I have it turned on. So I had these little risers put up so I could solve that problem. And then also I use them for my mirrors. So I don't have to take up space on my handlebars for my mirrors. My mirrors are also on the risers, the extenders. And so I make good use of them. They get used really well. It being on the riser, even with my thumbs being on my hands being on the handlebars, my thumbs can reach that pad over there in case I need it. And I did use it the other day while I was riding, because I was experimenting riding in D mode. That's where I started riding when I first got the scooter. Of course, I didn't have good brakes on it. I had to turn the brakes. Like I said, my brakes were messed up, so I had to. The only one I had was a front brake, which you can't ride around with a front brake. You'll just end up, tipping over the scooter. So I had to turn the front brake so far down that it didn't work pretty much. I mean, to where it equaled the rear, which didn't have any pressure because the hydraulic fluid had leaked out. So I had no pressure. I could have bled those at the time. I didn't know enough, and I just knew I got this scooter. It's supposed to be good, and the left brake or the rear brake wasn't holding pressure, and so I couldn't. It was unusable, and so when I finally and of course the other problem was that the electronic brake sensor was incorrect or something to that. It was faulty, whatever the case may be. It was defective, and it didn't work. It didn't come in contact with the brake lever completely. So how I ended up solving that problem was taking a piece of tape, like Gorilla tape, and I folded up a few times, and I pushed it in the between the gap because it was still a gap. It wouldn't touch. And so I stuck that in between there so that when you squeezed, it would actually make contact, and then the brake lights would disengage, and you could move the scooter. But as long as the brake lights were engaged, the scooter thinks that the brakes are on and the motor will not run. So once I got that fixed, of course, I mean that was a temporary solution, but I wanted to test the scooter a little bit. So I rode around in D mode while I was doing that. Because the only brakes I had were super slow. It probably was only the regen left. I turned the regen brakes all the way up. I turned them all the way down to compare them. I really couldn't notice a difference. And I was only using regen brakes at the time because I just didn't have any other brakes to use. I had, like I said, I pretty much had to turn the front brake down completely so that it was even with the rear, and pretty much was no brakes. I mean, like I said, it was enough to slow the scooter, but not enough to stop the scooter. So I just had to be prepared. I couldn't go very fast, and I had to be prepared to stop way ahead of time. I couldn't take any weird chances. If something happened, I'd have been screwed pretty much. But I rode around like that in D mode. But I got pretty used. I mean, it was a couple of weeks. I didn't ride it every day, but I was testing it out and so forth. Then I ended up switching the tape. From a tape, I have a hot glue gun, and I just took some hot glue and put it in that little gap. Same idea onto the brake lever itself, so that it would come in contact easier, and that worked. And that's more of a permanent solution. I still don't know if I trust that riding around. But I mean, the worst that's going to happen is your brake lights are going to engage, and your scooter's just going to come to a slow stop. So, not the end of the world, but still, I'm going to be stuck out there with no brakes, no way to ride the scooter without being able to fix them on the spot. So, and it was just the tape kept coming loose, and I'd have to stop and fix it and get going again. Really painful. So I decided to try to use the hot glue gun, and that worked. Just for that, like I said, I couldn't really ride it the I wanted to, but I would go to the parking lot and just kind of get a feel for it, where I had control of a lot of things around me, and there wasn't going to be any surprises and so forth. And like I said, I didn't go over D mode, and so yeah, I did that, and then of course when I got the new brakes, then everything was groovy. So that has pretty much been how everything got started. And once I got the new brake levers, I put them on, I bled the brakes, everything was great. I did end up switching to 4-piston brakes, but I didn't like them right away. I didn't like the feel of them, so I went back to the 2-piston. And then, of course, my story with the brakes is that I dropped my scooter. I put it on a kickstand. It fell down and it completely broke the brake lever stripped out the screw that it attaches. Now, these brakes that I have now, and the first ones that I had that were supposed to be the new brakes, you can't do that. It stops, doesn't have the ability to bend further than it does. So even if I dropped them, the worst that would happen would bend the brake lever a little bit, which also happened on the other one. Now I repaired it on the spot, kind of like not with a glue gun or Gorilla Tape, but with I was able to get the screw back attached that had been stripped out. Of course, I wasn't comfortable riding around like that, and the brake lever was bent, so I had to replace the brakes anyway. I couldn't just replace one because it's not the same, wouldn't be the same brakes. So I had to get a new set of brakes. Michael Shaw helped me out and actually gave me a pretty good deal. Have no complaints about that. Shipped them out super fast, and I got them lightning speed once we got it all settled. It was only took a few days, even from China, so that was amazing. But great experience with that. Once I decided to put those back on, I went back to my 4-piston calipers, and I love them. So I think first the problem was that they were just brand new pads, and there really wasn't a lot of room between the pads and the rotor. And so when I was pushing, I just didn't have a lot of give, and so I just couldn't get good pressure. It was just, it was weird. So I couldn't use one finger to stop very easily. I could not. I tried it multiple times. I reinstalled them, uninstalled, I did everything. And I think that what it was it just needed to be wore down a little bit, so there's a little bit more give in there, and it operates as it should. And so when I put them on, I did a little. I always every time I change my brakes or adjust my brakes or anything, what I do is I take the scooter, the Klima, and I put it up on a weight bench, and then I turn it down to eco mode. Then I enact, while I'm going about maybe 3 miles an hour in eco mode, I engage cruise control. And once I engage cruise control, I adjust the calipers slightly. I've got them pretty down and everything, and I adjust them slightly until they're completely silent. So I go to each one, and they're just going about 3 miles an hour. So if there's if it's even a slight bit off, you'll just hear that slink, 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 just barely. And so you make just really small adjustments with the screws almost all the way down, but just enough to just barely move the caliper. So you don't want to move it around a lot, unless you're way off. But if you're close, you just want to keep it to where it just barely is tightened down to where you can still move it with your hand, but it's not loose. And so that's what I do, and I just adjust it. It's got two sides to kind of get it like you want it, and then tighten it down once you get to that point, and then your brakes are perfectly calibrated. Now I know the other way that I've heard, which is just to hold the brake lever down and tighten it. And I've done that, and it works pretty well. Sometimes I'm not sure I've ever done it and it just worked perfect right off the bat. So even though I a lot of times I will do that, and then do that thing I told you, put the scooter on the bench and everything, and I'll still have a very slight little scrape, just a little slight hink, for whatever reason. It doesn't completely solve it. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. And so when I put it on and I'm going 3 miles an hour in cruise control while I'm sitting on a bench, then I can hear it so easy if there's the slightest little scrape, and I just go and make a slight adjustment until there's nothing, until it is completely silent, and then they're perfect. So uh, every time that I've had to change these, I have to go back and I have to do that. And so this last time, like I said, when I had to bleed the brakes, I went ahead and put the 4 piston calipers on there. And while I had it on the bench, I would just go not on eco mode, full speed. I'll just go up to full speed and then just just kind of wear down the pads a little bit, and that seemed to work perfectly. The brakes have been amazing. Takes very little pressure from just one finger. I can come to a complete stop. Feels really smooth, really nice, and I can definitely see like the reason people would upgrade now. I was confused at first. I thought, I'm not seeing it. I know other people that have the Klima have done this, but for whatever reason, it just needed to be just wore down a little bit on the pads, I believe. And once I got that going, and they've been amazing. So I'll be keeping the 4 pistons on there. They said they will pre-install PMTs for an additional $190. If you guys are interested in getting the Klima and having PMTs put on automatically. I think Wide Rides is the only ones that do that. But if you are going to go to PMTs anyway, and you don't want to mess with it yourself because it's a bit of a task, then if you order your Klima, go ahead and get the PMTs pre-installed, so you'll have them ready to go when you get your scooter, which is pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at the quoted specs real quick, and I'll kind of talk about my impressions of those as we go along. Max speed 42 miles per hour. I've got it up to maybe 42. I'm trying to remember on once again on the bench. I've not been up to 42 on it. I've been up to just over 30 miles an hour, and I've done it once in testing, and I've done it now couple of times riding around some of the streets. I've gotten used to riding around on the city. I feel a little bit better about taking chances. Plus I've got my motorcycle suit, or my riding suit, what do you want to call it. It's made for motorcycles, but it's got padding in it, a back plate, hip pads, knee pads, all that stuff. And so I feel a little safer out there if something did happen. And anything, obviously it's not magic or anything, but just taking all the precautions that I can. In any case, I've gotten it up to 30, 31, 32, maybe 33, somewhere in there. I don't even think I've been up to 35 yet. And I have it set to where I can go like up to 37, I think 37, 39. I thought I saw it today. So you won't quite get to 42. The only way you can go to 42 on it is to go into X mode, which I ride around in C mode, which is like middle mode. And no, I'm sorry. I ride around in S mode. You got your eco mode, your drive mode, and then your sports mode. I ride around in sports mode. It's the middle mode. Then C mode. I have ridden around in C mode. I've never ridden around in X mode. I've tested it several times, and I tried riding around in it, but it's still just a little bit jumpy for me. And so I did C mode for a while, which was manageable, but I still like S mode better. I am used to it. If I need to jump up, I can go. That S mode still gets you going pretty good. And even on the street with cars and whatnot, you still get up pretty quickly. So I don't worry about it too much. If I needed to, I can always jump up to C or X, which, like I said, X is pretty extreme. That's probably why it's in the X mode. But in any case, you have to be in X mode, and you have to have turbo enacted, engaged. And I'll be honest, I tried that out, but I'm not sure I know how to engage the turbo. Turbo was showing, but I think there's something else to it. So I haven't been 42 on the scooter. because I've not been in the situation where I have needed it, or or found a place that's completely um, controlled, in a controlled environment where I have the room to get up to 42, where I personally feel comfortable. There may be other people that would do it, but me, I need for it to be smooth, a long way where I don't have to stop very quickly, which most of the time is going to be a street, on the street with cars, and I'm not willing to jump out in the traffic just to see if I can go 42. I'm glad people do, and I applaud them from the sidelines, but yeah, not me. Uh, it's got dual 1,000 watt motors. Um, very very nice, very speedy, very torquey. Batteries a 60 volt 25 amp hour, and this is the lower 25 amp hour. They have their Klima Max that is a 30 amp hour, for about $400-500 more. I think it's like $24.99, $25.99, whatever it is. I don't want to say it's $24.99, and so for about $400 more, you can get up to the Klima Max, which has a 30 amp hour battery, and it has LG cells. I think it's their name brand cells, Samsung or LG, I think. But you have name brand cells, and you have a little 5 more amp hours, so you get a little bit more range, and then you get uh, like I said, you get a little bit more range and a little bit nicer battery. I've considered when I go to change this battery out. I mean, that's the only difference between the two scooters is the battery, and so when I go to change it out, I may buy the nicer battery for this one. If I keep the Clean and I still have it around, and the battery dies, like I said, I'll just get the better battery, and then now it's pretty much a Klima Max. But I'm not going to do that until I need to. So we'll see how long this battery lasts, and like I said, when I replace it, I may get the better battery, and it'll be a Klima Max. Meanwhile, it doesn't bother me at all. That being said, I get plenty of range out of it most of the time, like 40, 50 miles. I haven't tested it since I first got it. I was getting 50 miles right off the bat. Uh, in the summertime, when it was cold out, I would get closer to 40 miles. If I ride it in the street a lot, like I do the city, I'll probably get 30 to 40 miles easy. So, you know, I would say 40 ish, really honestly is what I get out of it. Riding the way that I do, I don't go slow intentionally. I don't go fast intentionally. I go as fast as I need to go, and the situation allows me to go that I'm in, that I feel comfortable with, which sometimes is 30 miles an hour, sometimes is 15 miles an hour, and anywhere in between. The frame, since it's a one-piece tubular aircraft, the frame is awesome. I mean, it's awesome. It's decent size, plenty of room for your feet. You got that little tail back there, but I don't use it a lot. Once again, because I'm not in X mode, and so I just lean forward, and I've got plenty of room to plenty of momentum to get me going. And so I love the frame. It's a real sturdy, well built, good looking, nice looking frame. Controllers has dual 40 amp sine wave controllers. Once again, a lot of torque, really nice. Climbing ability is 50 degrees. I've never tried a 50-degree climb, but I guarantee you it'll climb. Very nice. It's got plenty of torque for climbing. Max load is 265 pounds. Weighs about 75 pounds. I'd say it's 80-ish pounds. I think I saw someone weigh it. I think it's more around like the mid-80s. But roughly 80 pounds, let's say. Charge time is 4 to 8 hours. I think 8 hours might be a stretch. I've got a fast charger. Mine came with a fast charger. I'm not sure if they do. Yeah, I would say 4 to 6 hours. I don't think I've been past money 4 hours. It charges pretty fast. But I've got a fast charger that came with it. I don't know if that was a fluid free ride thing that they were doing, or if that's just the way that the Klimas come. But I got the 25 amp hour, but I got a fast charger, so it doesn't take me 8 hours. Maybe it's 8 hours if you got the max. And so this is just the Klima Max, but it has the battery. So I don't know. In any case, I don't think it's taken me 8 hours to charge it. I've never been at empty, but still, I've been down less than 20%. I think once, maybe once I dropped below 20 when I was testing the range. So I tested usable range too, not complete range to empty, usable range, which means I get down to around 20% and I recharge it. Because, just for me, it doesn't do me any good to take it down to zero because you're not going to want to do that on your scooter. You're not going to want to take it down to zero. If you take it below 20%, you're risking the longevity of the battery and so forth. So I don't drop it below 20% intentionally. If it happens, it's unplanned. So, and it hasn't happened to me. Like I said, maybe on the first one when I was first testing out the range, I don't recall. But anyway, I don't like to let it get below 20%. Lately, I've been charging it up pretty frequently. So if I'm going to go somewhere on it, I'll go ahead and charge it to 100%. Unless it's fairly well, like right now, it's still over 80%. So I wouldn't charge it when it's already over 80%. I'm at 85% right this second. And so I'm not going to charge it when it's at 85%. I'll go ahead and ride it around till I get maybe closer to 50% or something like that, and then I'll recharge it. But I haven't been letting it drop all the way down to 20%. The last few cycles, I've just been kind of topping it off and having it charge, especially on my city, which doesn't get near the mileage of the Klima. It's not as near the size of the battery either. So I would say I believe it's 4 to 6 hours from empty, because it's only taken me around 4 hours every time I've charged it that I can recall. So it's more around 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, I think. Suspension obviously is amazing. It's got dual KKE shocks. They're fully adjustable hydraulic shocks, and they're it's incredibly soft. Just really nice. Dial them in exactly like you want them. I may adjust them. I adjusted them when I first got the scooter, and I haven't really played with it much. So I may play with that and see sort of the feel that I get from it. When I was riding it the other day, I was kind of going up in speed around 30 miles an hour, and I hit a bump or something, not a big bump, just a slight little bump, and I realized that I was getting some bounce from it. I was kind of bouncing around, and maybe that's why getting up to those speeds don't feel as comfortable on the Klima as they do on the city, because the city, not that it's a bad thing necessarily, or good, whatever the case may be, but it doesn't have as good a suspension as the Klima. It doesn't have the same plushy bounce feel to it. And so maybe I just need to tighten them up a bit, and so that it's a bit more. I don't want to feel every bump, but I don't necessarily want it my feet moving around a lot when I'm going 30 miles an hour. So it's something I may play with, or and kind of see how it goes. If you guys have any recommendations, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I may play with that suspension a little bit to see if I can keep that from moving a lot when I'm going pretty fast. But not that it's dangerous. It feels less stable. Maybe that's what the stability that I feel that's different. Because like I said, the city is lower to the ground, and the suspension is not as good as doesn't even have hydraulic suspension at all. It's got spring suspension with a rubber dampener, I think, which is decent for what the scooter is, and it works pretty well. I haven't had any real issues with it. But the Klima just has a much more plush suspension. It's adjustable, and so there's a lot of give in there, and I kind of would rather feel a little bit more secure, a little bit more stable when I'm going that fast. So, like I said, I may try that. Um, I will see, but I may play with that a little bit and try to stiffen up that suspension a little bit and see how that goes next time I'm out in the area where I can get up to around 30 miles an hour. Once again, it does come with 2-piston Logan hydraulic brakes. I don't have experience with a lot of different kind of hydraulic brakes, but I really like the Logans. Um, they feel really good. They're really easy. I know some people like the Zoom. Most people like the nut hydraulic brakes. I would estimate that they're somewhere around the nut. They're similar to the nut hydraulic brakes as far as quality. Uh, Zoom might be a little bit not as good as the Logans. But I can't speak from experience. That's just keep me kind of judging, what I've heard and I've seen around. So if I had to choose, just knowing what I know between nut hydraulic brakes and Zoom hydraulic brakes, I probably would choose nut hydraulic brakes. And the Logans are awesome. So I figure they're probably in that range. Of course, you've got the Maguras, which would beat all those out. And so that's kind of where I would place them. But I really like the Logan 2-pistons. I love the 2-pistons. But I wanted to see how the 4-pistons would feel. And at first I didn't like them. And now I like them quite a bit. The 2-pistons work great. There's nothing wrong with them. But the 4-pistons work really well. And they're so smooth. They're a little bit more smooth. I think they both work great. You can use a single finger stop on both the 2-pistons and the 4-pistons. The 4-pistons just a tad bit nicer. Display has a decent sized display. The only complaint I have about the display is that the display is big enough, but the miles per hour are kind of small. And sometimes if you're in the wrong light, it's hard to see. So my only recommendation on the next model or whatever is that they just increase the size of the speedometer. IP rating is 55. I've talked about my feelings on the IP rating. It's not gonna harp on that. It was not necessarily a negative thing when I bought the scooter, but as I stated, if Nami were to design a new complete scooter, I think they should shoot for that IP 66 or IPX6 rating. All right, the first comparison scooter I'm just going to talk about real quick is the Emu Cruiser V2. This is the 60-volt dual motor, coming in at $18.95, which is what I paid for the Klima. So I think that's a good deal. What do I know about the eMove Cruiser V2 dual motor? I like the scooter. I've liked the scooter. I've been watching the 52 volt the V1, watching it, and so when I heard they were going to release the V2 and that they were going to have a dual motor version, I thought that was pretty sweet. And then they released it, the 52 volt single motor, but there was no dual motor, which was unexpected. But then when they did come out with it, it came out with a 60 volt system. You can still upgrade the 52 volt system for $500 or something like that. So the 60 volt dual motor Emu Cruiser V2 is pretty nice little scooter, and compares fairly well with the Klima. I haven't ridden it yet, but I can just kind of take a look at the specs, take a look at the scooter, and see some of the differences. So let's take a look at the specs, just basic. Real quick before I move on, I know this is the single motor version here, even though I've selected dual motor. The one thing I don't like about the Cruiser V2 is the stem, and I know some people like the adjustable stem, but I want a more solid feel. I want a more solid feel with the stem. A 2-piece stem leaves more room for instability. And so someone asked me, a viewer asked me about that, and they said, oh, an adjustable stem is a bad thing. Like some people think like it's an upgrade, I guess, but I don't like it. I don't like it, and I personally would have a hard time spending my money on a stem. It's not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker. But when I'm looking at two different scooters and I'm trying to make up my mind, every time I'm gonna go with the solid stem over an adjustable one. I just want one stem, one solid piece. I mean, here's the truth. The scooter would be incredibly stable if it didn't fold at all. If it was just one whole piece right here. You've got the handlebars and you've got one big metal piece. When I first started watching, paying attention to electric scooters, I seen a scooter that was one piece. It was made with one piece, and it was unfoldable. So everything was locked in. It had a nice steering so that it would click back in. I don't know if it was like notched steering or some kind of mechanism that kind of kept it straight. So this scooter had to be like the most stable scooter in existence. It was a European designer. I can't remember who it was. It's nothing that ever came to, it disappeared or whatever. Probably because people don't want an unfoldable scooter. When you need to fold it up, you need to fold it up, and so you don't want a one-piece scooter. And so the more solid this is right here, this right here, the more solid all this is, the more stable the scooter is. So what I liked about the Segway GT2 was, and the GT1, was that this piece from up here to all the way down was solid. That was so stable. That's why everyone said that scooter was incredibly stable, because you had this one piece right here, and then it folded from like up here. And the more you do that, the more you head up the stem and you keep it solid, the more stable the scooter is going to be. So, with the GT1, you had a long wheelbase, and then you had the like I said, it was up, it didn't fold until up here, and so all this was super, really stable scooter. So, once again, it's not a complete deal breaker for me, but when I'm trying to decide between two scooters, I don't necessarily like that. All right. Here are the specs of the Emu Cruiser V2. Top speed goes 33 to 44. I believe 33 is for the single motor and 44 is for the dual motor. Range is 62 miles. The battery is 60 volt, 30 amp hour. LG cells, 21700. That's nice. Charge time is 9 to 12 hours, so not as good as the Klima there. 25 amp hour 25 amp sine wave controllers, and compared to the 40 amp sine wave controllers on the Klima. The motor is a 1000 watt motors on the Cruiser V2 as well. It does have a higher max weight, it says, of 330 pounds. The item weight is around the same as the Klima. It states 74. I'm not sure what the actual weight is. And then the water rating is IPX6, which is wonderful. Thumbs up for that one. Hill climb angle is 20 degrees. Doesn't seem to be as torquey, probably, and I'm sure it isn't. But the display is a 3.5 inch LCD display. That's one of the things I was really looking forward to on the Cruiser V2, was that you didn't have that stupid display throttle thing. I didn't like it at all. So they got a better thumb throttle. They got an LCD display. You got 10x3 tubeless tires. Awesome. Don't have a problem with that at all. Your brakes, you got X-Tech hybrid hydraulic brakes. I don't know anything about X-Tech. They didn't go with like a name brand brake. that I can see, and then 140 millimeter rotors, which is the same as the Klima. It's got headlights, deck light, doesn't have a deck light, does brake lights and signal lights. So you do have the turn signals, you do have brake lights, and so there you have it on that. Now, looking at some things, it'll go 44 miles an hour. It's got a 62-mile range. 60 volts, 30 amp hours LG cells. Now, that's the same as the Nami Klima Max for $500 less, or a little less than even a little more than $500 less. So, where the Klima 25 amp hour is like $2,100, the Klima Max is like $2,500. So you're going from $2,500 to $1,900 for the Emu Cruiser V2, and so 25 amp hour sine wave controllers, quite a bit lower than the Klima. Like I said, I don't expect the acceleration to be quite the same between them, because of the difference in total output, total power output. So they've both got 1,000-watt motors, but which is why they reach about the same top speed. So let me explain that a little bit as well. When you're looking at a scooter and you're saying, what's the difference between watts, the motor watts, and then the peak watts? So, that's why I don't like when scooter companies will just say, "Oh, we have 10,000-watt motors." You don't have 10,000-watt motors. You have 1,000-watt motors, and you have a huge amp. You have a large controller with the high amps. Now, then you take that. I said this kind of before, but I just want to kind of reiterate this. You take that, and then you take and you multiply to get your max peak output. It doesn't change the motor watts. The motor watts is what it is. If it's 1,000 watts, it's 1,000 watts. Period. Nominal. That's what it is. The peak doesn't have anything to do with the motor, except it's in the equation. You've got 1,000 watts. That's in the equation for the peak power, but it's not motor power. So it's not correct when scooter companies say the motor has 2,000 watts of peak power, or they just simply say 2,000 watt motors when they're not. So this one is a 1,000-watt motor with 25 amp sine wave controllers. The Klima is 2,000-watt motors with 40 amp sine wave controllers. So much different acceleration. So what I'm going to point out is, but that's also the reason that they have a top speed of 44 miles an hour, or 40-ish miles an hour. Like the Klima, I think someone has been stated around 45, but they're probably very close to top speed between the Cruiser V2 and the Klima. Now, the reason is because of the controllers. You can't actually get a higher top speed by increasing the size of the motor controllers. You can only get there faster. You can only get better acceleration. So the Klima would probably beat the Cruiser V2 0 to 40, let's say, because of the higher amped motor controllers. But they're going to both get to about the same speed because they both have dual 1,000-watt motors in their 60-volt systems. The battery matters as well. So you got a 60-volt battery, you got 1,000-watt motors. You're going to have roughly the same weight of scooter. You're going to have roughly the same top speed on the scooter. So that's how that works. It's kind of like looking at horsepower on a car or torque. I mentioned that I had a 2021 Scat Pack Challenger Y Body Shaker Edition, and on that car, I had a huge torque. The torque was insane on that car, but horsepower, and not that it was terrible, not that it was bad, but some other cars like the Corvette, some of the Mustang 5.0s had a little bit more horsepower than the than the Scat Pack. But off the line, it'll take both of them. Of course, long run, they'll catch me and pass me. But you know, I never went anywhere close to as fast as that car could go, as I've said before. But it was just cool to have the car. I enjoyed driving it around, and knowing that I had the power to do that. So same thing with the Klima. I haven't went as fast as it can go. I never took the Challenger as fast as it could go. I babied that thing up until I sold it, and I knew I would sell it. I just wanted it for a short time to have some fun, ride it around, and I got a lot of compliments and stuff like that. It was a super awesome car. But anyway, that was then, and now I got the Klima, which is way more fun to drive, believe it or not, ride, whatever. And once again, because I didn't. I had it for a couple of years. I only put about 3,000 miles on it because I just babied it, and I didn't want to. I didn't want the value to go down, and it didn't. So it was a good buy. I got to have fun with it and didn't really spend any money. So that was my plan. Any case, on to the talking about the V2. So the 30 amp hour 60 volt is a good deal. When you consider that is a very good deal. And if you're not necessarily interested in being able to just fly on a scooter, the V2 may be the way to go. Also, if you don't mind the adjustable stem not being one piece. Me, it's I don't like it, but I'm about stability before anything else. I want to feel comfortable on a scooter, even going, higher speeds. So I'm sure it's stable. I'm sure it's fine. Just something I take. I like it better. I like the idea better. Just having that one piece there as opposed to something that could eventually get loose over time. Just don't like it. So, IPX6 has got a great water rating, better water rating than the Klima, so you got to give it props on that one. The only two things that would be okay, like I said, it's got a better battery, bigger battery than the Klima 25 amp hour, for a couple $100 more. So you're getting a better deal on the V2, but you're also getting 25 amp hour controllers, not 40 amp hour controllers. So it's not gonna be as fast. I don't ride around in the top speed anyway, so that may or may not be a deal breaker. I still like the idea of knowing I can do it. If I ever needed to turn it up to turbo mode and X mode, I absolutely have the ability to do that. Just like I could, hit the mode on a Scat Pack, the launch mode, and just get out of there if I really wanted to. Never did it, but I had that ability. And so says max weight 330 pounds. I would expect the Klima to do just as well. I mean, I know the Klima is only rated for 265, and maybe because they really want the scooter to hold up well and they don't want to put it to an extra punishment, because I don't believe that, to me, that this scooter looks any better equipped to handle 330 pounds than the Klima does. But they have their reasons for putting that down. So let's take a look at the last scooter that we're going to compare, which is to the Klima, which is the Solar FF Lite. It's also a 60 volt system. It's right around $2,000. I try to do that when I'm, comparing scooters, make sure the price is the same. I can find other 60 volt scooters. I can find other $2,000 scooters that aren't, 60 volts. So it's not really fair to compare those. So this is another scooter around $2,000. That's a 60 volt scooter. It's going to get around the same, top speed, mid 40s. It says it's got a 40-mile range. We'll take a closer look at the specs later, but I like the scooter. They have this one, and then they have the P1 Pro, I think it is, for just about the same price. The difference, though, once again, is the stem. The FF Lite has a solid stem, one single piece stem, and the P1 Pro has an adjustable stem. It's the major issue for me, and why I like the FF Lite just a little bit better. The P1 Pro is a cool scooter. It actually has bigger tires. I think these are 10 inches, and the other one has 11s. But to me, I care more about the stem than I do the tires, personally. You know, I'm sure 11-inch tires will be, plenty stable as well. As to stability as well. But once again, like I said, I think that the two-piece stem, even though at first, may be okay, eventually it might come a little loose in there. So it's got the solid stem. I like the look of the scooter. It's got the C suspension, which is nice. I like on those. As long as it's not going 60 plus miles an hour, C suspension is awesome. And on some scooters, C suspension is awesome anyway. But you just have to be more concerned about speed wobbles, and so you have to have some sort of dampener to keep that in check. I chose a thumb throttle in on-road tires. Comes out to $1,950. I think they have $100 off right now, so you could probably get for $1,849. All right, so the way the Solar has their specs, I wish they would just have kind of like a spec sheet for the Solar FF Lite. You can come down here and compare them if you wanted, but I'd like a separate spec sheet on the website personally. So to look at specs, come down here. It says it goes 3 speeds modes up to 45 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour. And it roughly has a 45-mile range. It says a 7 to 8 hour charge time. Here you've got two 16-watt motors, 32 in total, 60-volt, 23 amp hours. And so I'm gonna double check. I'm gonna try to see if I can find out here, but I don't know if they're 1600 peak or 1600 nominal. So as part of the problem is I don't know what they're stating right here. I'm not sure if they're 1600 nominal. It just says 32 in total, which obviously makes sense. It says a 60 volt, 23 amp hour, so it's another 60 volt system. 23 amp hour, very close to the Klima being 25. Does have sine wave controllers, 330 pound max load, just like the Cruiser V2. It has alloy rims, dual hydraulic brakes. It doesn't have nut brakes like this one, but it does have hydraulic brakes and e-brake. It has an NFC start option, which I like, and also has fingerprint start. Well, I prefer the NFC start. Dual safety horn. So an IP54 rating, 10-inch tires. .360-degree lights. So it doesn't have the Tron lights like some of the other solar scooters. I don't necessarily, it's not my favorite thing. I don't necessarily have to have the lights, but it would be cool if they did. These do have a steering stabilizer that you can add to it. And which is interesting considering the scooter only goes to like 40-ish miles an hour. So here's your damper. Got launch mode like the Scat Pack. It's not a launch mode, it's just a launch. You have a launch button. It's kind of like a launch mode, I guess. Free USA shipping in stock. Let me see. Nominal. It says nominal. So nominal output of 32. So it is nominal. So they're 1600 watt motors, operating at 3200 total for the two. A top speed of 45 miles per hour. But once again, it does have a steering damper, and they said you can add to it for better control at higher speeds. And I've never heard of Klimas having speed wobbles. They still sell the damper for the Klima. I've heard some of the Bernies having speed wobbles at higher speeds, especially the Bernie 2 Max. Once you get around 55 miles an hour, which is its top speed, it becomes unstable. So I've heard some people, use the stabilizer for that, and then I've heard that you can just, if you put PMTs on the Bernie Max, the speed wobbles go away. It's interesting. So if that's the case, then that's a good solution to not having to worry about a speed steering damper. All right, that's all that I was going to go over. Once again, I'm not going to compare. I'm not going to rank them. I just wanted to kind of touch on them each a little bit, kind of some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like, and kind of see how they stack up. So, that being said, I'm going to move on to some riding footage. All right, so once again, this is the scooter ride that I get 400 miles on. And coming up, I'm literally like, I want to say like maybe $3.99, $3.98 right now. It's got to be really close to $3.99 because somewhere, I'll see if we can spot it, but somewhere along this little ride here, on this little section actually, somewhere along the way I hit 400, because when I come to a stop, I did watch the video back, and I hit 400.8 at the light when I come to the light up here. So if I don't look down or get a good look at it during this little section, then I know for sure once I come up to the light that we can see it's 400.8 miles. So somewhere right along here, I hit my 400th mile on the Klima, and you can see those mirrors. They work really well. I can't say anything bad about them, and when you're in traffic, it's a must. It's a must, my opinion. I like to have them anyway. Sometimes I want to look and see what, something I just passed up. Once again, maybe like the dog that was chasing me the other day. If I can see it in my side mirror. But 400 miles coming up. Let's see, I want to talk about a few things. One thing I want to talk about real quick, now that we're kind of off of kind of comparing the Klima and so forth, and talking about the specs and whatnot, I just wanted to address something and clear up any questions that there might be. So my channel name that I came up with when I started the channel was Electric Scooter Guy, and I like the name. It's done well. I even came up with a song, and seems to be jiving. I think it's jiving. Well, how I came up with that name is that I started watching scooter stuff. Now, I've only been keeping up with scooters very closely for about a year now. Last June, I bought the Hover 1 Journey Max. I bought the Hover 1 Journey Max because I watched Electric Scooter Guide's video on hill climbing. I think it was hill climbing. They test out all these different hill climbers, and hill climbing is a pretty big important thing in my opinion. I don't live near a ton of hills, as you can see, but I have some, and I have some decent hills. Nothing crazy like where they test these scooters out in Los Angeles or San Francisco for sure, but still, I don't want to have a problem when I come up the hills. And I was buying my first scooter, and when I saw Raymir, go up crazy fast on the Journey Max, I started watching it really closely. And it was $600 at the time $5.99. And I was watching it pretty closely on Amazon because it's sold on Amazon, and then it dropped to $440 something, I think. $445 is, if I can remember correctly. I get a scooter. I'm waiting for the deal. The Apollo Go dropped to $9.99. I get the Go. I never expected the City to get to $10.99. I certainly wasn't considering that scooter. I wasn't considering the Go when I got it, but I saw it drop to a good price. I've been watching the Go for a while. I've seen the $8.99 now, which I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the City came out, and I had to jump on it. $10.99 was too good of a deal, and so I got a great deal on every scooter that I've got so far. Got a good deal on my Scat Pack too. But anyway, when I was when I was looking at getting this the channel going, I was trying to think of a name, and I didn't know very many channels at the time. Electric Scooter Guide was probably the first channel I came across. I mean, anytime you go type in something in YouTube for about a scooter, then the first thing you're going to see is Electric Scooter Guide. At least I did. It's the first one I saw. So there are still some scooter channels that I'm not 100% familiar with. In any case, the name came to me, Electric Scooter Guy. Like Electric Scooter Guide. It sounds like Electric Scooter Guide, but I'm not a guide, I'm a guy. I wasn't trying to steal their name, wasn't trying to make my channel like Electric Scooter Guide. That's a totally different thing. They had a team of people who did different things. I just gave me the idea for the name Electric Scooter Guy. And so I was like, well, that sounds really cool. And once again, I'm not trying to steal Electric Scooter Guide's channel. That's ridiculous. They're huge. I just liked the name, and I thought it would be kind of cool. And I didn't know if they would. See, here we are, 400.8. So we just passed 400 miles on that little stretch right there. So that's how I got the inspiration for the channel name, Electric Scooter Guy. I thought that I could be Electric Scooter Guy. I am Electric Scooter Guy. And so I went to see if that was available for my new channel that I was considering creating when I first got the Journey Max. And so I did. It was available. Electric Scooter Guy. I typed it in. It was available. Another thing I do is I go check the domain. And I was able to find electricscooterguy.com. And that was like done deal. I mean, if I have a website, Electric Scooter Guy website, which I don't have up yet, but I do own the domain, electricscooterguy.com, then that sold. I was sold. Like, okay, I've got the name. I've got on YouTube. I can get the domain. So I purchased the domain, and so now and then I have my email address, which I've always had since I started this channel, which is admin@electricscooterguy.com. If you guys ever want to email me and you don't feel like going to look at my bio, it's admin@electricscooterguy.com. That's my email. And so, I wanted that email. I wanted that domain. I'm going to do something with the website sooner or later. But most of the time I've spent doing videos. I'm closing on 150 in probably about 9 months that I've been running this channel. So I didn't have the Journey Max. I had a few months still. I didn't get it till probably October. So between June and October, I rode the Journey Max, and then October I got the Klima and rode it up until I got the Apollo Go and went back and forth, and now I have the City. So after I got my channel going, started doing videos, had my domain, had my email set up, all that stuff I did before I started loading videos. I got all that set up before I ever started making videos. And once I started making videos and the channel got going and so forth, that someone commented on one of my videos, and they said, "Did you know that there's a a channel named The Electric Scooter Guy. I did not know that. Obviously, I would not have chosen Electric Scooter Guy if there was already a channel named Electric Scooter Guy. And so I was like, no, I did not know that. And when I started the channel, I don't remember if I ran across it or if they told me that. But either way, someone asked me about that. I was like, I did not realize that when I started the channel. I got this name, from an idea because of Electric Scooter Guide, which is the biggest channel that I knew of, and they got so much good information on the channel. I learned most of everything I learned early on from Electric Scooter Guide. I had seen Louis' stuff, The Average Guy 1983. I was familiar with his channel. The Yogi Steve, his Electric Scooter Academy. I was familiar with that channel. RK9 Rides. I was familiar with his channel. Of course, he was on Electric Scooter Guide as well. Maybe Ginger on Wheels. I think I was familiar with his channel. Possibly Tom's Gadget Garage. These are some of the channels that I got familiar with. Kizzy E-Wheels. I picked up on these like right away. But I really didn't see, that there was another channel named Electric Scooter. Once again, that would be stupid for me to, nothing, no offense to that channel, but other than the name, the Electric Scooter Guy, which I like, there's nothing I have in common with the channel. Nothing at all. I wasn't trying to do a channel like that. There's nothing about that channel that I would want to do a channel. But on my last video, Mr. The Electric Scooter Guy commented, and he said I stole his channel or something. I'm copying his channel. And my intention was never to copy anybody's channel. I didn't even know his channel existed. And so he wants me to change my name. He doesn't like that I'm using Electric Scooter Guy. And I've gone pretty far. Once again, I've created close to 150 videos, which nothing against his channel once again, but he doesn't have 150 videos, and he's had his channel for 5 years. So, which he told me that, and I said, well, I've done, I don't do I'm not doing his content. I don't even know his content, to be honest. Since I found out about him, I looked at his channel. It looks like he does all super scooters and stuff like that. But I don't think I've ever even watched one of his videos. Someone told me about the channel. I saw it. He's got more subscribers than I do, but he doesn't have a ton of subscribers. And so it just didn't really appeal to me. I never really watched his videos. I don't know the videos. It's no offense to him. They just, for whatever reason, I didn't find out about this channel until I already had a channel, and I didn't know that existed. So he wants me to change my name. I'm not really inclined to do that. I feel pretty good about Electric Scooter Guy, the channel, and I don't think I'm copying his channel. It's a pure coincidence that our names are extremely similar, with him having put the in front of it, which once again, not to say anything, but I wouldn't choose The Electric Scooter Guy before I would choose Electric Scooter Guy. If I'm going to get a YouTube channel, I don't want it to say the. That's just me. I would not have even wanted the in the name, so I wouldn't have searched for the, and I certainly wouldn't. If I knew it existed, I wouldn't go after that. But I would choose Electric Scooter Guy. Now, if I were going to do that and I wanted to have Electric Scooter Guy, then I could say, oh, it's not available. And that's how people say The Electric Scooter Guy or The Real Electric Scooter Guy. You try to come up with a way of still getting Electric Scooter Guy in there. Well, that's not what I did. I found Electric Scooter Guy, which I was kind of happy about. I was like, wow, nobody has this. And then once again, I found the domain. I was like, wow, I'm boom. I was sold, like I said. And so my intention was never to steal anybody's channel. It's still not to steal anybody's channel. My channel is nothing like his. It's nothing like anybody's. I didn't want to do a channel like someone else's. I liked the name Electric Scooter Guy because I was a fan of the Electric Scooter Guide channel. That's it. That's it. I don't put ESG on stuff. I'm not trying to be like ESG. When I do my codes, I'm e-scooter guy. My codes are e-scooter guy. I don't use ESG as codes and stuff like they do. That's not exact. I'm not trying to be them. They're way different. They do stuff I would never do. I love it when Paul's on the channel. I love the speed runs he would do. He's an expert. Never even complain. Never even would even compare myself to Paul. Paul's a way ahead of me, ex motorcycle rider. I give him all the props. And so Paul from Electric Scooter Guy, now he's with VMAX, Paul Somerville. I learned so much watching his videos, and so I got into Electric Scooter Guide, electric scooters through Electric Scooter Guide because of Paul. I mean, I like Ramir, and I mean, obviously Ramir helped me, pick my first scooter out and so forth because of his contributions. But just the knowledge that Paul has and shares on his stuff is just, how I got into scooters. And so a bit of like I said, where I got the idea because of Electric Scooter Guide. And I don't know if that's hard to tell, but I mean, that's where the inspiration came from. But not trying to be them. I've never tried to be them. You watch my channels, you'll never see me trying to be them. I'm doing my thing the way I want to do it, and I hope it doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. I hope people can appreciate that, and I apologize if I've offended anyone by choosing this name. Had I known, I wouldn't have chose it, but I'm not going to go back and change it now. So I hope you guys understand and still support me, and I'm still going to make videos, still going to grow my channel, still going to continue to do what I do as Electric Scooter Guy. I've even got a song now, a theme song that I like very much, and think some of you guys like it too. And it's just a brand. It's a brand that I'm creating that has nothing to do with his channel. I don't have anything against him. If he wanted to get on a podcast and we could have the Electric Scooter Guy podcast, as long as it was no drama, friendly, we can chat about it. But I don't get that impression that he probably would want to do that because he just wants me to change my name. So that's a sticking point for me. I'm not willing to do that right now, just because of all the work that I put into that name, and I had no idea someone else had that name already. I really wasn't trying to spend the entire ride talking about that, but it seems like that's pretty much what has happened. So, and that's fine. I didn't want to dwell on it. I didn't want to, certainly, except I'm not trying to get into any kind of drama with any other YouTubers. I respect all YouTubers for what they do. I'm sure he has a great channel. I really am unfamiliar with it. That's not disrespectful. It's just the honest truth. There's other channels that I'm less familiar with too. Electric Scooter Insider. I recently found out about him, and he's got a huge channel. Scooter Gang. I've seen here and there. I think I seen him early, but I didn't pick up on his channel for some reason, and then I ran across him again later. And I've subscribed recently to both of those channels. I can't remember Electric Scooter Insider or not. He does a lot of Apollo stuff, but I've only have seen these since I started looking at Apollos and started trying to find out more and more about them. He does some good Apollo videos, and so there's still some that I don't have a grasp. I've not been into electric scooters all that often compared to, all that frequently, all that recently compared to a lot of people that are a bit ahead of me. Guys, if you enjoyed this content and you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and happy riding.
He's got wheels and a dream on the fly. Zooms past the world, electric and spry. Through the city he weaves like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy. No gas, no fumes, just a hum in the air. A helmet on crooked like he doesn't care. like he just doesn't care. Charging his ride while sipping a chai. The unstoppable electric scooter guy. Ah, yeah. Late night rides under neon glow. His battery's low, but it still won't go. He's a rebel on wheels, no need to comply. Forever rolling, the electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're the one and only electric scooter guy. Oh, scooter guy, you're flying so high, dodging the traffic as you glide by. Street lights flicker as you electrify. You're the one and only electric scooter guy. Electric scooter guy. Electric scooter guy.